Hey guys, Mr. Wood back. Continuing, actually going to be working this worksheet, a bunch of problems off this worksheet. Kind of going to probably make you dizzy going back and forth from the overhead to the board. I think it's a little easier to see me do the problems on the board. But I know you need jokes, so here we go. Which superhero travels by public transportation? Buzz Lightyear. Buzz Lightyear. You probably didn't like that one. Why are movie stars so cool? Because they have many fans. It'd be cool if you had a lot of fans. That one maybe was a little bit better. Okay, so what we're going to do, so real quick, on Monday, Tuesday, nothing's due. Monday, Tuesday, we're going to do that lab, specific heat lab. And again, next week, that's Wednesday is a test day. And so the assignment, this worksheet that I'm going to be working, this is going to be due on Monday, Tuesday, the following week. So the 28th, the 29th. And it's definitely a little tricky. I always remember going over this worksheet with my classes. So I want to spend some time doing at least half of this with you right now. So hopefully you'll follow along. Okay, so I'm on this handout that says specific heat. So remember what we learned about in the notes. We talked about this thing called Qsmat. Okay, Q is energy, and this could be in joules or calories. And on this worksheet, it could be either one. I will tell you though, from the book, it's always going to be joules. The book, and so that means the test will always be joules. S is the specific heat. Remember, the specific heat measures the amount of energy required to change 1 gram of a substance by 1 degree Celsius. It really, I always think, specific heat measures the how much a substance temperature fluctuates. Something like a metal has a low specific heat, so its temperature fluctuates a lot. Something like water has a high specific heat, it doesn't fluctuate a lot. M is mass. And then delta T is the change in the temperature. Okay, so we're going to do a bunch of problems with that. And I know in my A cohort, I got to problem one yesterday, but I didn't in B. So if you're in A, you just be patient with me. I want to do number 1. So number 1, so again, I am reading right off of, again, I don't know how well you can see this, right off of this handout that I gave you guys in class, last class. Okay, so again, sorry, I told you I was going to make you dizzy, so here we go. So I am on this handout right here. Okay, and if you didn't get it, I think y'all got it. If you didn't get it, you can go to Canvas, you can go to my website, you can get it there. So I always just label everything. I know these are going to be Qsmat problems. And I just label everything. So number 1 says how many calories of heat are required. So what's Q is X, and they want this in calories. This is a common thing I do in both chemistry and AP chemistry. I call it just tagging. I give a tag for every number and what it is, what it represents, and what the unit is for it. Are required to raise the temperature. It says the mass is 1 kilogram. And this needs to be in grams, and I'll show you why. So I converted the 1 kilogram into grams. And then the delta T, the change in the temperature, is 26.8 minus 10.2. Again, I want the change in the temperature, not the beginning or ending temperature. I want the change in the temperature. So I'm going to take 26.8 minus 10.2, which gives me 16.6. Okay, and I call these problems plug and chug problems. So what they are is you just have the equation and you just plug things in. So Q is X, and Q, you'll see, is not always X. It could be S, it could be M, or it could be delta T. It's like you got 4 variables, and you'll be given 3 of the 4. The specific heat, and if you look up here at the top, if you look right up here at the top, this is water, and the first 8 problems are all about water. Number 9 and 10 are not, and I'll look at 9 and 10 here in a little bit. But because they've given us the specific heat of water, we know S. And so since this said calories, I'm using 1. So again, where I got that, not that I'm super smart. Of course, I am super smart. Of course, I'm not. I got it from right there. I was given that. Okay, and the mass I said needed to be in grams. And I'll show you why. And then the delta T is 16.6. So again, this is what I call plug and chug. So Q is X, here's S, here's M, and here's delta T. Now, if you look at the units, grams cancel out, degrees Celsius cancel out, and I'm left in calories, which is what I want. And the final thing are my sig figs. And if I look at the numbers I started with, everything had 3 sig figs. The specific heat should be an exact number, so it's got infinite sig figs. So that should not determine my sig figs. So what I get here is I get 16,600 calories. And that technically has 3 sig figs because these zeros are not significant without a decimal place. Okay. Number 2 is a similar kind of problem. And let me just give you the answer to number 2. It is 53,800 joules. Or it could be written like this. And again, either way would be correct. And on a multiple choice test, those would be a possibility. Okay. Now, I want to go on to number 3. So you guys can write that down. Okay, number 3. So again, still using the same concept. And like I told you guys in class, I really want to keep memorization down to a minimum, and I want you to be able to process information. But there's 3 equations here as we've been in school about a month. But we've got Kelvin is equals Celsius plus 273. We've got density is equal to mass over volume. Now we got Qsmat. Okay, number 3. And again, I'm going to write all the information down that the problem tells me. So it says, what temperature change? So that to me, I'm going to write over here. Delta T, the temperature change is X this time. What temperature change? Well, 100 milliliters. That's really a volume. I'll show you what we're going to do with that. When it absorbs, so they tell us Q is 325 calories. That's it. Well, they expect you to memorize or to know that the density of water is 1. Okay, and if that means when they tell us the volume for water, they really told us the mass. Okay, so if I solve for mass would equal density times volume. Well, the density is 1, and the volume was given to us as 100. So it's 100 grams. Okay. So when they tell us the volume of water, they're really telling us the mass. And that can be true of anything if they give us the density. And water being such a common thing, I think they expect us to know that. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and do what I call plug and chug. So Q this time is given to us. It's 325 calories. Are you done with that, Alex?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm doing a videotape. Perfect. Thanks, brother. So Q is 325 calories. S, because it's water, I'm going to go back, and because it's calories, I'm going to use that right there. So 1 calorie grams times degrees Celsius. The mass is 100 grams, and the delta T is X. So again, this is why I call this a plug and chug problem. Now, if you guys were in front of me, I would say, okay, what do we do? How do we solve for X? How did your math teacher teach you to solve for X? Well, the way I will teach you to solve for X is always to isolate X, to get X all by itself on one side of the equation. Isolate X. So if X is here and I want to isolate it, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide everything off of the right except for X. And again, this is going to be something you're seeing now, but you're going to see throughout our class is I'm always going to concern myself with the units before I concern myself with the numbers. And that tells me I'm on the right track. So grams cancel out, calories cancel out, and I'm left in degrees Celsius. So if I do this on my calculator, 325 divided by 100 is 3.25. Again, I always want to watch my sig figs, and the numbers that were given to me, one had 4 sig figs and one had 3, so I got 3 sig figs, which is right. And I want to watch my sig figs and my label. It's part of the answer. Okay, number 4 is a similar kind of problem, and the answer to number 4 is 5.28 degrees Celsius. Okay, so I'm going to do the odd problems, and I'll have you guys do the even problems. Okay, so there's 3 and 4. Okay, on to number 5. I think number 5 to me is the hardest problem on the worksheet. Okay, so if I read this again and I label everything on number 5, number 5 says, what will the final temperature be? So I'm going to just let me put over here, TF, temperature final is X. If 45 milliliters, so the volume is 45 mils, which means that this is again water, so what they're really telling us there is the mass is 45. The temperature, I'll say the temperature initial, the temperature is 15.4. And it absorbs, and that's a key word, and I'll explain why. It absorbs, and then they give us Q, 2.50 times 10 squared. And what I'm doing with you guys here, you think, oh, you're just kind of writing everything out just to, this is really the way I always do chemistry problems, because to me, it does an analysis of everything we've been given and what we're trying to solve for here. So if I go back and I've got Qsmat, so Q is 2.50 times 10 squared. And so for S, again, I'm going back here and I'm going to use the 1. Okay, the mass is 45 grams. But this one's different. This one did not ask for the change in temperature. This one asked for the final temperature. So delta T is going to be X, but it's not going to be my final answer. And because it absorbed energy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add whatever delta T is to my initial temperature. So I'm going to go one more step here. Okay, so if I solve for X, so again, how do you solve for X? Well, to solve for X, you isolate everything you isolate X all by itself on one side of the equation. And again, the units always tell me if I'm on the right track. So I'm getting X all by itself on one side of the equation. Then grams go and calories go, and I'm on to degrees Celsius. So when I do this, so again, on my calculator, how I push this in my calculator, I go 2.50, and then I go second exponent. That's how I do it, and then 2, and then divided by 45, and that gives me, so what X comes out to be is 5.56 degrees Celsius. Now, that is not my final answer. That is the change in temperature. It's not the final temperature. And because temperature was absorbed, or energy was absorbed, the temperature should go up. So to get the temperature final, I'm going to take the temperature initial plus delta T. And so I'm going to take the temperature initial, which was 15.4, plus 5.56. And when I do that, gives me 20. Really, again, if I go back and look, the numbers I was given, the numbers I were given was 3 sig figs, so I'll go to 3 sig figs. So my answer there is 21 degrees Celsius. Okay, number 6, and again, I'm going to do the odd ones. I'd like you guys to do the even ones. The answer comes out to be 52.5. So just like that one. But one difference here is instead of using the word absorbed, this one says released. And because it's released, that means the temperature is going to decrease. Temperature is going to go down. Okay, so that means at the end, instead of adding, we're going to subtract. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the back. So I've done the front. I've done 1, 3, 5. I'm hoping you guys do 2, 4, 6. Or I want you guys to. Okay, I'm on to number 7. Okay, so if you guys can get a picture of that. So still I'm going to do the same thing. And I told you 1 through 8 were all about water. And then 9 and 10 is not. So number 7 is about water again. So again, I'm going to write out everything it tells me. Number 7. So it says a quantity of water is heated, and they tell us the temperature change. So the delta T is 36.4 minus 25. And I always just want the change in the temperature. Does it? And I'm not looking for the sign right now. I just want to know the value. It absorbs, they tell us Q, and this one's in joules. And like I said, the ones in the book, they're always going to be in joules. And then mass is X. Again, they didn't tell us the specific heat, but because it's water, again, I can go back to the back of the worksheet, the front of the worksheet, and it's right there. So again, I'm going to do Qsmat. So Q is 1,358.5 joules. The specific heat, and the specific heat value again is right here, and that's actually a number I'll always give you, but if you're doing the problems, you kind of get that number in your brain. The mass is X, and the delta T is 11.4. So again, this is what I call plug and chug. So I'm plugging everything in. And I solve for X, so I isolate X. So that means I want to get X all by itself on one side of the equation. So I'm going to get rid of everything off of this side except for X. Like I said, before I worry about the numbers, I always worry about the units. So joules cancel out, degrees Celsius cancel out, and I'm left in grams. And what I ended up getting there to 3 sig figs again is 28.5 grams. 3 sig figs. So again, little details, but make sure you're watching the sig figs and the units always. Okay, and then number 8 is 68.5 grams. Similar kind of problem. Okay, final one I want to do is 9 and 10. 9 and 10. Now, this is not about water. This one is not about water. So again, I'm going to list out everything that the problem tells me. Okay, so number 9, it says, what is the specific heat? This time, specific heat is X. The mass is 30 grams. Undergoes, and so they just tell us delta T this time is 250 degrees Celsius, while absorbing Q 229.5 calories. So again, I think this is not just for these problems, but for all the problems. It's a good idea just to do that. So now to list everything out. So now if I plug in, so Q is 229.5 calories. Specific heat is X. The mass is 30 grams. And the delta T is 250 degrees Celsius. So again, I'm plugging everything in. And now I'm going to solve for X, which means I'm going to isolate X. I'm going to get X all by itself on one side of the equation. So I'm going to divide 30 off both sides and 250 off both sides. And like I've been saying, is units. Follow the units here. Well, if you look here, no unit cancels out. Calories, grams, degrees Celsius. And that is the unit for a specific heat. And so if I do this on my calculator, I take 229.5 divided by 30 divided by 250.0306. Remember, that zero not significant. This zero is significant, so there's 3 sig figs. So sig figs and units are part of the answers here. Okay, and then number 10 is 0.899. 0.899, and It's joules over grams times degrees Celsius. And again, part of your answer here, is the unit in sig figs. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop there. So in class on Monday, Tuesday, we're going to do lab. For those in B cohort, you could be, and for A, you guys could be working the rest of this worksheet. Remember, so nothing's due Monday or Tuesday, but the following Monday, Tuesday, remember, okay, so remember right there. So this will be due. So Monday, Tuesday will be the lab. We talked about that. Then here's the reading. Here's the book problems. The worksheet, we've done half of that. We're going to have a quiz on that. And our first test, I'm going to give you a review sheet. Our first big test is going to be the Wednesday, Thursday, the 30th and October 1st. So, hey guys, have a good weekend and keep working your chemistry. Talk to you later. Bye.